Good morning, sir.
All are listening. Any problem? Can we start? Everybody is with me? Can I start? Good morning, everyone. It is my good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir.
It's my honor to welcome you all to this important webinar on heat stress and its mitigation, jointly organized by the Regional Level Institute Kolkata, All India Institute of Health, Hygiene and Public Health Kolkata, and ESIC Medical College and Hospital Joka. In the face of climate change and rising temperature, heat stress has emerged as a major occupational hazard affecting the health, productivity, and safety of workers across various sectors. This webinar serves as a timely initiative to raise awareness and discuss practical measures to address this growing concern. We are privileged to have with us three eminent experts who will be sharing their insights today. Dr. Mona Lisa Sahu, Associate Professor and Head of Occupational Health at AIIPH, HPH, will begin with a session titled Beating the Heat, Safeguarding Workers' Health in a Changing Climate. She will be followed by Professor Kalyan Kumar Pal from the Department of Community Medicine, ESIC Medical College and Hospital Joka, who will speak on risk assessment and heat stress management at the workplace. Finally, Dr. Arkaprabha Sahu, Deputy Director Medical, RLI Kolkata, will deliver a talk on preventive strategies, including technological assistance at workplace for heat stress, providing us with actionable insights from an occupational safety standpoint. We are grateful to all the speakers for their valuable contributions and to all participants for taking the time to join us today. I am confident that this webinar will be insightful and will help pave the way for stronger preventive measures in the workplace across sectors. With that, I am pleased to declare that the webinar is open. Thank you. Now, I hand over my mic to Dr. Mona Lisa Sahu to take up the session. Thank you.
Mic mute है, madam.
Thank you, Bhavesh sir, and good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, it has been a pleasure to work with you with the three prominent institution in occupational health in this region. And I would like to congratulate Dr. Arkaprabha Sahu for having this initiative just at the right time when the timing of this webinar is very perfect. It's May Day, it's the Labor Day, and also the summers has already started, and that's why it's the perfect time to discuss how we can beat the heat and make our workers safer. So now I am sharing my presentation. I hope it is visible to all of you. Is it visible?
No, ma'am.
No, no, ma'am.
Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
In the presentation mode?
No, madam, can you do it the full mode, full screen?
Yes, I'm trying to make it full screen. Yeah, in fact, I have already made it full screen, but it's not appearing.
It has gone again. Okay.
Yes, I will try to reshare it once again so that we can have full screen. Yeah, so I think now it will be visible in full
That's
screen.
good.
Yes,
Yes.
madam.
Yes. So I am Dr. Monalisha Sahu. I am Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Occupational Health. I also have some voluntary roles, like I'm board member, Right to Food and Nutrition, I'm Global Fellow 2024 for Women Left Health, and member of Environment Safeguard and member of Environment Safety and Social Safeguard Committee at ICMR. So today we are going to discuss beating the heat and safeguarding the workers' health in a changing climate. So first of all, our agenda will be today understanding what is actually heat stress and what are its various effects, how outdoors as well as indoor workers are at risk, what are the various preventive measures and best practices. I will not go in details about it because other speakers will be joining on this topic. What are the employer responsibilities and regulations and innovations and future solutions? So first of all, what is heat stress and how it is affecting? So Jeff Goodwill, author of The Heat Will Kill You First, he once said that when heat comes, it is not that it is very much visible to you or it is very tangible. When heat comes, it is invisible. It does not bend three branches or blow hair across your face to let you know that it has arrived. The ground doesn't shake. It just surrounds you and works on you in the ways that you can't anticipate or control. You sweat, your heart races, you are thirsty, your vision blurs. The sun feels like the barrel of a gun pointed at you. Plants look like they are crying. Birds vanish from the sky and take refuge in deep shade. Cars are untouchable. They are so hot. We all have felt that. And the colors they fade. The air smells burnt. You can imagine fire even before you see it. So this is an excerpt how heat feels to all of us. But think about those who work outdoor directly under the sun, especially the vulnerable professions in various industries who have outdoor work vulnerability, such as people working in construction, landscaping, those who are working in brick kilns. They face higher risk of heat stress due to prolonged and direct exposure. For example, agricultural workers, they are particularly susceptible to heat stress as they often work long hours in direct sunlight. But do we think that workers who are there in indoor settings, they are free of it? So no, not at all. Even the workers who are working in an indoor settings, they also face various heat stress risks due to high temperature and inadequate cooling. There can be heat generating machinery in certain indoor settings, like in steel plants. There can be poor ventilation effects, like in mining. So that will again trap the hot air and increasing humidity levels, which can affect workers' comfort and health. The trapping of hot air and increasing humidity level, especially sitting here in Kolkata, we are very much aware. All of us will be knowing about the
अभी मीटिंग है
black
ऑनलाइन
hole of Kolkata.
आप एक
Okay.
घंटे के बाद
So now coming to what are the various heat-related morbidities the workers face and what is the data around it? So though we do not have much data, much direct data around it, in a study, it was seen that in India, potentially 191, 200 million labor hours are lost due to heat exposure in the year 2022, and an increase of 54%, which was an increase of 54% from the levels in 91 to 2000. More than 20% of people are estimated to have health impacts of heat stress, ranging from skin rash to serious complications like heat stroke. Over 40% of the workers, they reported symptoms like heavy sweating, intense thirst, dry mouth, consistent with dehydration, and also neurological symptoms like headache, loss of coordination, dizziness, blurred vision, and fainting. And they are more prevalent during the summers, and they further increase the chances of accidents and injuries, making workers further susceptible and vulnerable to workplace accidents. Coming to the physiology of it, that what affects the core body temperature? The core body temperature should be maintained within 1 degree Celsius of the normal, that is about 37 degrees Celsius or 98.6 degree Fahrenheit, in order to continue to function normally for the body, so that all the hormones, they are in totally unclogged, and the proteins, they are in fine state to carry out the regular day-to-day work. Now, it is not only the heat, but there are various other factors that holistically influence our ability to maintain a normal core body temperature. And the major factors are air temperature, humidity, skin temperature, the speed and temperature of air moving over the body, the radiant temperature, the clothing type, and also the amount, hydration, and other individual physical and medical characteristics. Now, because of this factors, the core body temperature can vary, and the body may struggle to maintain the core body temperature. So what happens? The combination of workers' exposure to heat from various physical activity, the environment they are placed into, and their clothing results an increase in the body's heat storage, and that is known as net heat load. Now, heat strain is the physiological response to heat stress when the body tries to increase the heat loss to the environment in order to maintain a stable body temperature. When the body is not able to unrelieve the heat strain, that will lead to heat stress, and that can again turn into various kind of heat related illnesses. So here there is this picture which is showing the wholesome effects of various factors which may contribute to heat stress, like excessive heat, thermal insulation, and physical activity of worker, leading to health impacts which can range from mild to serious. Mild like heat fatigue, heat rash, heat syncope, to serious like heat exhaustion, heat stroke, leading to various organ dysfunctions like kidney disorders, cardiovascular diseases, and respiratory conditions. Not only that, it indirectly increases the burden of accidents and injuries, and it also has mental health effects. Coming to the various heat-related illnesses, according to a 2019 study published in Journal of Occupational and Environmental Medicine, almost 10 to 20% of construction workers, which is a common group of people are working outdoors, they regularly suffers from heat-related illnesses in India. So, as we were discussing, that heat does not only affect the physical health of the people, but it also seriously affects the mental or psychological health of a worker, which is many a times not very much visible, or which is not taken care of, because we are mostly talking about the physical health effect of heat. So what can be the various mental health challenges which can be caused or amplified by excessive heat? There can be mental fatigue and distraction from work, which will result in errors in work output and increase in accident. You all must have seen, whenever there is increased heat, we feel more irritated, and sometimes we feel confused, even emotionally stressed. This will decrease the perception levels also. So that may lead to more workplace conflicts, limited decision-making ability, inability to make proper judgments, and overall, it will reduce the workers' morale. It may eventually result into anger and leading to negative co-worker relations and anxiety and frank cases of depression, which will reduce the work performance and which may also increase workplace absenteeism. And in long run, it has found to have a role in increased suicidal rate also in the workers. So it is as important for employers also. So now we have seen that how various environmental factors and individual factors they may affect the workers. We already discussed about the environmental factors, but on the day-to-day basis, based on the individual vulnerabilities, the effect of heat strain and leading to heat stress in HRI can be different. For example, women who are pregnant, people who are disabled, workers who are not put into a proper acclimatization plan, workers who have low physical fitness level, they are not hydrating them regularly, workers from advanced age, having high body mass index, obese, and have limited work experience, they are more vulnerable to the hazards of heat stress. Similarly, those who are in acute who are suffering from any acute illness with fever or gastroenteritis, some other diseases of central nervous system, cardiovascular diseases or malignant hyperthermia, diabetic mellitus, kidney diseases, chronic liver diseases and respiratory diseases, and hemoglobinopathies and skin rash, they are more vulnerable. Also, people who are taking some pharmacological like on antihypertensive, anti-epileptics, antipsychotic, neuroleptic drugs, antidepressants, amphetamine, anticholinergic substances, they are also, and those people, alcohol, they are on higher risk of developing such kind of heat-related illnesses. Now, how, based on the level of severity or urgency, how workers may take certain actions so that the situation is not deteriorated further. So, if there is mild heat exhaustion, then we can explain the worker that if you feel like tired, fatigued, thirsty, weak, dizzy, or lightheaded, likely to faint with change in posture or prolonged standing and muscle cramps, that are signs of mild heat exhaustion, and you have to become alert and you should inform the supervisor. The supervisor should direct and move the worker to cooler area for recovery and encourage the worker to drink water and consume electrolytes. If symptoms persist after 15 minutes, then the person should be treated for severe heat exhaustion. So that's very important to identify the signs of mild heat exhaustion. After that, even with these symptoms, they are if deteriorating. Like if the worker is having wobbly walking, he is having slow reaction times, feeling severe fatigue, severe muscle cramps, he may vomit or collapse with any sign of heat stroke, or person may see they feel severe fatigue, loss of appetite, nausea, headache, and blurred vision, then again the person has to be moved to a cool air conditions area for recovery. They should lie down, drink a lot of water. They cover head, neck, and shoulder with towels soaked in ice water, and even if direct ice is available, it can be applied. And you have to ensure that the towels remain cold by re-soaking them every 2 to 3 minutes. If it is not available, then cool the worker's body with the most effective method, whichever is available, and watch for the signs. And if there is no improvement, immediately arrange for the medical treatment, call the ambulance, because it is an emergency situation and heat kills. And heat, the symptoms or the signs which will appear, the symptom will be the person may feel very hot, severe fatigue and nausea, and the signs are collapsing, fainting, loss of consciousness, vomiting, erratic and irritable behavior, confusion, disorientation, gibberish speech. So then it should uh, it should raise an alarm in your mind, and immediately the supervisor should call the emergency services. And by the time emergency services arrives, he must begin aggressive cooling with ice or cold water bath. So this was about how we can train our workers. Four most important points to prevent that for workers, there should be a time to acclimatize. Those who are not working or those who have been shifted to heat hours shifts, they should work in a shorter shift until the body has adjusted. The rule they can follow that every day 20% of the time can be increased. They should stay well hydrated, and they must watch for signs of heat related illnesses and accordingly take time to rest and cool down. For acclimatization, as I was discussing, we should follow rule of 20%. Because of that, there will be beneficial physiological adaptation. So there can be tip one is to gradually increase the time spent in hot environment and condition over 7 to 40 days period, 20% exposure each day. So if the person is on day, the exposure is 50%, then next day, slowly we can increase to 60% for workers who have had previous experience. It can be 10%, but workers who do not have previous experience, it should be rule of 20%. A very important system is to set up a buddy system, because many a times we ignore this, but when the heat stress is happening with a person and the person is not in a good state of mind, he is confused. So many a times he is not able to even go to the supervisor and tell him. So you should always tag your workers with another person who will be his buddy and who will be working in the same area, and then they can regularly check on them, and they can make use of readily available water and shade, and they will regularly check whether the other person has the heat related symptoms or not. Clothing and hydration, it is very important. In summer times, encourage workers to wear clothing that is light colored and loosely fitting and breathable fabrics. It should not be very thick and dark fabrics, and should not be very tight. Cotton clothing can be soaked in water to aid cooling. You have to be aware that people who are sometimes working in indoor environment, like some of the steel plants, they have to wear some personal protective equipment, which additionally may actually increase the risk of heat stress. So there also the person should regularly check, especially in summers and also when indoor heat is very high. So at those instances, you should regularly check, though you are wearing personal protective equipment, whether your body is feeling uneasy or he is showing signs of heat stress. One should encourage workers to drink plenty of fluid, like 1 cup every 15 to 20 minutes, even if they are not feeling actively thirsty when they are into moderate activity. In many instances, we have seen when we were working with construction workers that the construction workers who work on the higher floor, they will take one bottle with them and they will go above, and the water will get over and they won't come down till the lunch period. So they will think, even the contractor will think that if they go many times down to fetch some water, then what will happen? The time is being wasted. So such kind of thing happen, and that kind of practice should not be done, should be abolished, because it is very important in summer months to maintain their hydration. First and foremost, like we follow the hierarchy of control. If there is extreme heat at those hours, we should totally abstain. We can make rest break as those hours, and then when the heat subsides, they can start working. For especially for agricultural and construction workers, those who work directly under heat, and again there should be a well shaded place where they can have small breaks and they can rest in shade. and they can even have water when they are not thirsty. And the most important part is to be prepared for the emergencies. It is very important to understand that heat may kill, and so it is very important to get help immediately. So tell the person who has phone and can call the supervisor, start providing the first aid. We should train the workers for the first aid. How, we should move the person to the cool off area in the shade and little by little give him water, loosen his clothing, help him cool, fan him, put ice packs, especially in the groin, underarms, and the head area, and soak his clothing with cool water. So, as part of the heat action plan and in the National Program for Climate Change and Human Health, this heat stroke room has been installed in various hospitals. So, I am showing one picture of this heat stroke room from ABVIMS Dr. RML Hospital, where there are bathtubs and provision of ice making refrigerators. So, the person who got affected with heat stroke can be immediately cooled down and can be brought to the normal temperature. So employer responsibility and regulations to provide safe working environment, to follow heat exposure guidelines, especially during summer times, and mandatory safety measures. So policies, now there is more awareness about, and then more new policies coming out. There is district heat plan also coming out. So there are comprehensive heat safety programs which should be followed. There should be regular training and education and monitoring and response strategies. Training and awareness increases workplace safety, and it help workers take preventive strategies, make them more aware about their own state and also about their bodies. So now I'm talking in a very brief about the innovation and future solutions. There are various technological advancements in heat management which will be dealt in the next sessions. There are wearable heat stress monitors, there are cooling jackets, which are still not proven to be very effective, but they are still controversial. And most importantly, there can be climate controlled workspaces, especially in indoor areas. So when a person who is not in indoor area, is not working in a climate controlled space, is working outdoors with external heat exposure, he can have wearable monitoring devices which can check his heart rate, body motion, pulse oxygen, and sweat and stress regularly. And based on that, he may be given like a signal, red alert, that when he should move back to his resting place. So we need more research around it. We need to understand more about the climate change and its effect. We need to develop adaptive strategies together, and most importantly, we need to make them available to our workers, because the question is no longer if heat will harm. We all know that heat will harm, but the question is how soon it is going to harm and how prepared we are. With last decade being one of the hottest, 2023 being the hottest year, it is very important that we understand how prepared we are. So with this, I will end this session. You can ask if you have some questions, or we can take it in comments. And you can also write to me at my mail ID, drmonalisha@outlook.com. So thanking again to Dr. Bhave and Dr. Orko Prabhu for organizing such an interesting and such an important sessions for our factory medical officers and workers. Thank you.
Ma'am, I have a question. Excuse me. Am I allowed to ask a question?
Yes, if we have
Hello.
time, you can go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am, just one. If we are not going with the other presentations, which are means saying the effect of the heat on the hospital equipments.
Okay.
So my question is that, and my submission is that, I work in the anesthesiology and critical care, and we are using very expensive equipments.
Yes.
And but I seen that in such a heated environment, the generally OT AC plant is outside the OT areas, and the pipings and all other connecting dust which are coming to the OT, when comes to the cooler environment, they condense. And they condense so deeply that OT sometimes gets wet, and at a time 10 to 12 ventilators of a given hospital was shut down, was broken down at one single point. And we also had major issues. Our ventilator stopped working for three ventilator at a step. This causes a crisis in the ICU management at a time. This is just a submission. This is
Hmm.
something which cannot be controlled, and even the industry is having such kind of the equipments are also having this kind of the problem, and this is a major financial burn on the our organization. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you, Dr. Anil. I understand it's a major issue, but I feel that there should be some technological. I think you can have a meeting with your administration, especially at this duration of time, and because this issue which you asked is more about your own local administrative and management issue. And I think there, and if we can help in some way, and I think there will be ways out where this can be solved, but we need to sit, we need to have specifically what is your situation, what instruments, what are the environmental factors, what is the training level of the workers, and based off that we can devise a strategy. So if you can just write about it in details, we can also chip in and we can see what can be done.
Sure, sure, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam, good morning. I am Professor Ranveer Pal. I
Good
was a
morning.
student of I am a student of Hygiene Institute also. I've done MD from there in 1986. Anyhow,
Yes, sir.
that's
We all
my
know you, sir. Yes.
anyhow. So I have a issue that, as you described very nicely over last 30 minutes, that it is a basically problem of primary health care, because every general practitioner to every doctor should know how to manage a case of heat stress, heat stroke. But
Exactly.
unfortunately, it is not at all given stress in undergraduate or postgraduate teaching. I think I think from Hygiene Institute you should make some proposal to the NMC, so that this is a problem that every doctor should know how to manage a case of heat stroke or heat stroke. So
Yes,
this is my humble suggestion, that it should be taught at every level. It is not knowledge, a pre-conference workshop or something that we are learning and we are dispersing. It should be incorporated, number one. Number two, how we can include some legislation of the places where workers can be protected. Workers' health should be protected for any country. So we must make any definite legislation, so that the construction workers or something, they will be compelled to safe, keep the safeguard of their worker in steel plant or construction worker or agriculture workers. So this part, I want to say that some legislation should be definitely changed, so that the employer should be forced to safeguard the health of the workers who may be having heat stress and heat strokes. These were two humble suggestions. Madam, I have
yeah.
completed
If
my.
you
Hello.
Thank you,
I
sir.
completed.
Yes, yes. So, very valid points made by you. These two very valid points. So, the first I would like to, on your suggestion, I would like to speak that yes, not only all doctors says, because what we have seen, like, of course, this is basic minimum that the doctors should be aware and all the doctors should know. But not only the doctors, even the workers, they should be aware, the supervisor should be aware, because in most of the industries, what is happening, and not only industries, 95% of our workers, they work in unorganized sectors. So in unorganized sectors, reaching a doctor is a very late stage. Even before that, even a buddy or the supervisor or the contractor, we have to, as a country, we have to reach a level where every worker should be trained to manage some kind of heat stress, because it is not rocket science. It's a very simple thing. There should be places to sit, there should be places to take rest, there should be cool water available. These are actually the basic minimum requirements. But the awareness level and compliance is so low, and especially in unorganized sector. So as you suggested, sir, as from Hygiene Institute, we are whatever at whatever platform we are able to put it, we are trying to put it. And we are also visiting various indoor settings and industries, and we are training workers. And it is many a times what happens, employers give that responsibility to employees that they are not following. But I have seen the MSMEs, the lower level factories, the workers are so interested. Last 2 trainings we did, I must share it here. Those were very small level factories with minimum of the facilities available. But the workers, they were so interested. They were taking notes. I have not seen such good, enthusiastic and enthusiastic listeners who are just sitting over there and taking notes. Okay, what we have to do, because it is their life. They are living it for their families, and they have to save themselves. Though it should be responsibility of employers as well as the government, but it is sad that we are not yet at the level, but very soon we'll be reaching with the National Program of Climate Change and Human Health. They have already launched some guidelines for states as well as district levels. There is district heat plan, and ministry is also releasing heat guidelines, heat management guidelines, and as part of those guidelines only, various nodal hospitals, they were selected, where RFL was one hospital, and there this heat stroke rooms were established. But we need to take them at lower level. We need to take it to all the PHCs, and that is my effort, because it needs a bathtub, a deep freezer. So we already have such kind of facilities. If we sit at a local administrative level, we are more aware, then we can arrange such things, because it is difficult to prove heat deaths also. So the workers are at the loss, because only autopsy findings or something very suggestive can totally prove, and because most of them, they are working in unorganized settings. So it is even more difficult, and they are not also getting benefits whenever they are suffering from occupational hazards. So very valid points, and we are also working towards it. We are also giving recommendation and writing. So, and we would like to contribute on a bigger platform whenever we get the opportunity. So thank you very much for raising this. So I think if there are no further questions, and
Madam, I have one question, madam. Namaste.
Namaste. Yes.
No. My name is
Yes,
Dr. Dinesh, madam. Sahu sir was my mentor. He was my teacher in RLA Kanpur. We did IFIH. So actually, some of the training programs are going on geospatial analysis, GIS, and IPHA also. Actually, I took the workshop also. Now there can be a chance that we find the industrial hotspots.
Yes.
Hotspots before the thing happens really now.
Yes, exactly. And that reminded me of one more thing. Actually, we are also having IPHA con pre-con. I just came from that event, and on outbreak response. And sometimes heat is also outbreak response, Another thing which I missed, and I wanted to tell Dr. Ranaber also, and now I would like to include it here. Now you have mentioned regarding legislation. Recently, like last week only, on a CRO country level, we were discussing this climate change and heat impact. And the countries, the neighboring countries and countries like us, even Malaysia, Cambodia. So they have, whenever they're construction workers, they are on field, it is mandatory to have WBGT levels, So thermometer which is checking all the time, and in advanced industries, there are these sensors which are already there. So if we can take these technical advances into our worker settings in construction workers and in outdoor workers, so that will be very useful. But given the infrastructure conditions right now, so it will be little difficult. So yes, but certainly one day we are going to reach it, and if we all work together, that day is not very far away. I am being hopeful here.
Okay. Thank you, madam.
So Dr. Pavan Kumar has his hand
Yes,
raised.
madam. Yes, madam.
Yes. Dr.
Madam, I am
Kumar?
having a small doubt regarding acclimatization, madam. Is there any standard guideline for acclimatization for the people who will be working in high temperature or low temperature?
There are, like for Indian settings, actually, I would not say, but there are these general rules of acclimatizations, like I discussed, that if the person has not been exposed, so over 7 to 14 days, rule of 20 should be followed, that every next day you can increase the 20% of exposure to heat. And that can be followed till 14 days based on individual susceptibility, because there are so many individual susceptibility. One person can be hypertensive, one person can be on calcium channel blocker, so he will not be as good for acclimatization as the other person. So still there are these general rules. If we follow the rule of 20 and we increase the exposure every 20% each day, then there are higher chances that they won't be affected. And if the person has previous experience, we can increase from 10% every day.
Thank you, madam. Is
Yes.
the standard guideline is published anywhere, madam, to get some
Yes,
standard
yes.
reference?
This is NIOSH guidelines. So if you send me a mail, I can send those
Yes, madam.
guidelines.
IOSH guidelines.
Yes, NIOSH.
Thank you, madam. I will send a mail, madam. Thank you, madam.
Okay. So thank you for your questions and interest in the session. Now I would like to hand over the mic to Dr. Orko, if he is available, so that the
Yes,
next person
thank
in
you.
the
Thank you, madam. Thank you for that nice presentation, and it's an interactive one. And the participants, they have the different queries of the delegates, so they have some very valid suggestion. Also, we are also noting it down. And with that, I want to thank you one again, and be with us. And I would like to request Professor Kollan Kumar Bal sir, sir is there to join and start the second session. Sir, just a couple of minutes. Sir is going to join. Just yes, sir. Sir, you are not audible. Yes. Uh, yes, sir. Your microphone is on. But sir, somehow, sir, एक बार just microphone को plug in या तो plug out करके एक बार या तो off on करके একবার অফ অন করে দেখুন, মনে হচ্ছে আপনার অন আছে দেখাচ্ছে, কিন্তু ওখান থেকে কোনো মুভমেন্ট রেসপন্স কিছু নেই। Sir is with us, but most probably due to some microphone related issues, sir is also speaking, but it's not audible. Sir, if possible, you can join, leave again and join once again. Yes, sir. Sir, unmute. Sir, again, hmm. सर सेकंड से आप सर थोड़ा सा अनम्यूट कर लीजिए सेकंड वाला टर्मिनल से
Am I audible?
यस सर राइट नो परफेक्टली ऑडिबल सर
Okay, so then I'm keep this second connection also. So I'll be.
यस ऑन द सेकंड कनेक्शन यू आर ऑडिबल
Okay, and am I visible?
सर नॉट येट विजिबल
Because I can see myself in the screen. Okay, so let me start then right away.
yes sir so we welcome to Professor Kulnan Kumar Pal sir. So he's a renowned figure in the public health and he is in right now attached to the ASIC Medical College Joka in Kolkata. So sir, please start your presentation. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Okrovo and your team for organizing this seminar, which is very relevant on this special day, 1st May, where we talk about the rights and safety of the workers. So the topic is heat stress, risk assessment and management. Some of the contents may be overlapping with all of the speakers because the topic is heat stress. So I can share my screen. Is the screen visible?
Yes sir, visible sir. If possible that is in the presentation mode.
Yes.
It's also visible. You just put it into the presentation mode.
It's okay now?
It may appear it's not here as a presentation mode, but sir, it will work. You can continue, but you can work, but most probably you have to manually change because it's not again in the presentation mode, it's in the slide view mode.
Sir, I think if you can share the entire screen, that stop
Okay.
sharing and then share the entire screen, then it may work. Yes.
So,
Is it okay now?
yes, perfectly fine, sir.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So already Dr. Monalisa has talked about heat stress, and which is very easily recognizable concept, but it is very difficult to define, and also it is very difficult to measure. And as said earlier, in the working situation, heat stress may be due to either combination of many factors which lead to convective or radiant gain to the body, or the factors which may limit or prevent the heat dissipation from our body. And WHO has defined that heat state is the load of heat that must be dissipated by the body if the body is to remain in thermal equilibrium. So it is the sum of the metabolic rate and the gain or loss of heat. In addition to naturally occurring hot climates, as we were talking about the global warming and which is affecting the health issue, health of different workers and across the globe. So in addition to these naturally occurring hot climates, there are many situations in industries where artificial hot climates are found. Those industries, for example, in steel industries, rubber, glass industries, there should be this hot environment because unless this high temperature is there, the production will not be uh, affect. There should be production will depend on this temperature. So these are artificially or deliberately created environment in the industries where there is intense hot environment, and in the mines also, because as we go down there is poor ventilation, so in the mines the temperature also increases. In cotton textile industry, we know that a warm and moist atmosphere is necessary for the appropriate weaving and maintaining the dissipation of dust particles inside the cotton textile industries. So these conditions which are deliberately made in the industries also expose the workers to heat conditions. And this gain or loss of it are governed by either the climatic factors, which includes temperature, humidity, then the air movement, surrounding temperature of the walls and objects, and the non-climatic factors, that is how much they are working, whether the individual is acclimatized or not, the amount and type of clothing they are wearing during their work in the factories, their age, gender, etc. So these factors, they modify the level of the discomfort, and consequently heat strain develops on the individual when they're exposed to these situations. So it's a combination of gain from the environment, metabolic heat generated inside the body, and insulation due to clothing, and heat loss of to the environment. So it's a balance between these factors. If you look at the heat balance equation, though it is simplified, I present it in a very simplified way. It is a mathematical algebraic equation is there, which is difficult to understand right now. So in a very lucid way, heat production is equal to M minus W. But AM is the metabolic heat production, that is the heat generated by the body's metabolism. And heat loss with physical activity when you are doing the work. When you do the work, there is heat generation which goes to the environment. So this is the heat production. And then the heat loss. The rate of heat loss is a sum of this radiation, convection, evaporation. Then when we inhale, there is warming and wetting of the air with inhale and then exhale, and conduction to the different surfaces by direct contact with skin. For example, sitting on cold surface. So, and another is the S, that is the rate of storage of heat in the body. And this rate of storage is important because it should be zero. So heat balance exists when M minus W is equal to this R, C, E, L, K and the S. Ideally, this S, that is storage, heat stored in the body, should be equal to zero when the heat balance, that is the body produces. So if what happens, if the body produces more heat than it loses, the excess heat is stored and the body temperature rises. Conversely, if the body loses more heat than it produces, it draws on its own stored heat and the body temperature drops. So this S factor is important, which should ideally be zero. And we know that by sweating, approximately 1 liter of sweat, we take 600 kilocalorie of heat, it takes away from the body and provides relief. Then movement of air, it also helps in this evaporative heat loss. That is radiation, convection, and this conduct air account for 72% of the heat loss. And the skin also, there is loss of the heat up to the level of 15% to the, and from the exhale and inhale air, it is 3% and 7% respectively. So heat stress and risk assessment. So we have to assess the risks which are prevailing in different industries. So risk assessment is the process of identifying the safety and hazard which are associated with the work, evaluate the risk, and implement the measures to control and eliminate the risk factors. And the risk factors that contribute to heat are mainly three categories as mentioned by Dr. Mona Lisa: personal risk factors, environmental risk factors, and the work-related or job risk factors. If we go a bit detailed, so what are the personal risk factors and how it impacts on the workers? Sleep deprivation, how it helps or it impacts the heat exertion. So impaired decision, if there is deprivation of sleep, there is impaired decision making, and so reduced ability to properly regulate body when one is tired. So the measures which you should take may be not adequate due to this sleep deprivation. Inadequate nutrition is another factor which decreases the person's immunity, and this may affect the heat tolerance of the person. If the person is well immunized, has a good nutrition, has good immunity, his tolerance to excessive heat exposure may be better. And dehydration, we know it's obviously a worker with dehydrated will be more likely to experience heat illness. So as Dr. Sao Moralisa was talking about, is taking frequent cup of water during work. And the physical condition, a physically fit worker is in a hot environment is expected to be, the heat exertion will be lower because the body sweating mechanism is more efficient. Also, a worker who is well acclimatized to hot environment will have a lower risk of the heat injury compared to a non-acclimatized worker. Obesity, we know that obesity entails the heat injury because the fat layer prevents the dissipation of the heat from the skin, and medical conditions or illness such as heart disease, diabetes may increase the risk of heat injury more, more specifically to the cardiovascular effects. And other illnesses like respiratory infection, diarrhea, they may also increase the risk of heat injury. Medications, as Dr. Moralisa's laboratory told about the different types of medicines which may have an effect on this heat exertion, that is, which they stimulate or interfere with the normal hydration, affecting the body's ability to retain water. There's a pressure, those who are taking blood pressure controlling medicines for common cold, antihypertensive and anti-allergics, antihistaminics, so they interfere with the heat dissipation of the body. Alcohol consumption, alcohol reduces the worker's heat tolerance and it also causes dehydration. We know that alcohol causes dehydration, resulting in an increased requirement of water intake. Now, inexperienced worker, that means if a worker is not trained enough to adapt to his place of work, so it will lead to heat related injuries to his body. Another thing is that highly motivated worker, this is also a negative aspect. A highly motivated worker may ignore the early signs of heat stress and continue to work until heat stroke occurs. So on one hand, it is the inexperienced worker, and on the other extreme, the highly motivated worker. So both are risk factors for heat injury. And if a person has a previous history of injury to heat, so they are more susceptible in further exposures. And accumulated fatigue, that means work, they are not getting rest, is accumulated fatigue. It also makes a worker vulnerable to illness and accumulate heat strain. Now the environment risk factors, we know that ambient temperature, that is the environmental temperature, humidity, movement of air, which helps in dissipation of the heat, direct heat source. These are the environment risk factors which impact the worker on the health issues concerned with heat exposure. Nature of the work, that is workload severity and duration. So work involving highly strenuous physical activity increase the metabolic demand of the worker and the core body temperature rises. So these employees will need more frequent rest breaks than others and perform less strenuous exercise to safeguard himself or herself. And as I mentioned, the worker clothing which prevents the heat dissipation from the body. And Dr. Moralisa has also mentioned this proper personal protective equipment, which is specific to the conditions the workers are working in the industry, that should be suitable so that there is proper dissipation of heat from the body. Now, heat stress impact, it depends on the body core temperature. So what is the impact on the health? Hyperpyrexia, the hyperthermia. So that is high stress and cold stress. That is the extreme which affect the function of the body. Today we will be talking about so the core body temperature and its effect. We know that stroke, hyperpyrexia, heat exhaustion, hyperthermia, hypothermia, they correspond to certain exposure, certain temperature. This is the core temperature of the body. It is not the temperature which we measured by the thermometer. It is the core temperature which we measured by the rectal thermometer or other devices. So this core temperature has the following effects. And I'll not talk much detail the clinical aspects because there is no such session and we will not have time. So we'll just discuss a brief about some of the heat effect, heat stroke. It is the failure of the heat regulation mechanism, right? And where the body temperature may rise to under 10 degree Fahrenheit. And so there is symptoms like delirium, convulsions, and loss of consciousness. The skin is dry, hot. Classically, sweating is absent or diminished, and the outcome is often fatal. So death to case ratio is 40% is often reported. So one should be aware of the symptoms which suggest that the worker might be having heat stroke. And the treatment is nothing but rapidly cooling the body in ice water bath. If the rectal temperature falls below 102 degree Fahrenheit, the patient should be kept in bed for many days until the temperature controls become stable. Next is the heat hyperpyrexia. It is attributed to impaired functioning of heat regulating mechanism, but without the characteristic features of heat stroke. But it is a predisposing stage to heat stroke. So it may proceed to heat stroke. Then what is heat exhaustion? It is not because of the failure of the thermoregulation, which was earlier with heat pyrexia and heat stroke. It is caused primarily by the imbalance or inadequate replacement of water and salts in perspiration due to the thermal stress. And it typically occurs several days after several days of exposure to high temperature. The body temperature may be normal or moderately elevated, and the symptoms primarily are dizziness, weakness, and fatigue. It may be severe enough where the worker may require admission in hospitals, especially if their age is elderly, and treatment is directed towards the normalizing fluid and the electrolyte balance. Next, are minor forms are the heat cramps. These occur who are doing heavy muscular work in high temperature and humidity. So there are spasmodic contraction of skeletal muscles, and these are painful. And this is due to loss of sodium and chloride from the body. What is heat syndrome? Is the milder form. The person standing in the sun becomes pale, blood pressure falls, and he collapses suddenly, which we often seen when we stand in the line in the students when they are doing PT and all. So this is there is practically no rise in body temperature, but it occurs due to the peripheral cooling of blood into the lower limbs and dilation of blood vessels. So it's common among the soldiers and the students, as I mentioned. So what should be done? The affected person should be made to lie in the shade with the head slightly down. Recovery usually comes in 5 to 10 minutes. So these are the different forms of heat stress injuries of the body. So how to identify this? Identify your activities and risk factors which can enable a person to be exposed to heat. For example, construction work in the marine industry, in the manufacturing industries, other industries. So these are the heat generating process which raises the environmental temperature to a lot extent. The tunneling works, in the marine works, there is hot work, then manufacturing, the foundries, iron steel mills, and the other, the laundries, incinerators, heat exchangers. So these are the various heat generating process where the workers are subjected to high outdoor heat. So how to measure heat stress parameters? Say for complete evaluation of thermal environment, we should take care of the different factors, that is air temperature, humidity, air movement. So these all three factors they affect the temperature maintenance of temperature of the body. So the dry and wet bulb thermometer, globe thermometer, they are used for their temperature measurement. For humidity, we have the dry and wet bulb hygrometer, syringe cyclometer, and the Aspen cyclometer. This is a portable instrument which is useful in measuring the humidity. And for measuring the velocity of air or cooling capacity of air movement, we use the kata thermometer. But the wet bulb globe thermometer is a very important equipment, as Dr. Mona Lisa also mentioned about it. It embraces in a single value the effect of radiation, ambient air temperature, humidity. And it is the weighted value of weight and the dry bulb temperature and globe thermometer readings. So this wet globe thermometer gives the readings by which we can classify the risk factors as high risk, moderate risk, or mild risk. Other indices are effective temperature. It is the sensory scale of warmth to express a complex thermal environment, and is a single index that presents the combined thermal sensation of air, temperature, relative humidity, and air movement. And with it, there is the corrected effective temperature. It along with effective temperature, it takes into account the radiant heat sources, that the walls, the outside in structures, and it is determined by considering the effects of the temperature, humidity, air movement, and also the radiant heat. Another indicator which is very commonly used is the predicted 4-hourly sweat test, which we call P4SR. It was developed by McArdle et al. In 1947 and it was later refined by McPherson in 1960. It is the rate at which a person sweats, and it is a good index of heat stress. And the sweat rate of 4.5 liters in 4 hours is the upper limit of tolerance, and a sweat rate of 2.5 liters in 4 hours is considered optimal for a working man. And this P4SR is based on a specific population in a particular condition, and it may not be directly applicable to other individuals. So it varies from one working condition to another working condition, and to one person to other. Heat stress index. This is another heat stress indices. It takes into consideration the metabolic rate also, and the principal channels of heat exchange between the human body and the environment. So there are nomograms are there which are provided, which from which we get the value of the heat stress index, and we can classify as mild, moderate, or severe. And if it is 0, it's no thermal stress. It is 10 to 30, it's moderate to mild heat strain. It's 40 to 60, it is severe heat strain. 70 to 90 is very severe heat strain, and 100 is the upper limit of heat tolerance. So it is a complex heat stress measuring index which are calculated based on nomograms and prepared on the basis of algorithms of different measurements. Now, which was mentioning that wet bulb flow thermometer is a very useful instrument for measuring the heat stress in a factory. And we do not need to know this calculation, but for your theoretical purpose, it is the indoor WBT temperature is 0.7 T, and that is TNW means natural bedrock temperature. You have to multiply it by 0.7, and the globe thermometer temperature you have to multiply it by 0.3 for indoor, for outdoor. So we have a calculation by which we calculate what is the WBT temperature. So these are very equipment. We now have these handles, heat stress meters also available, by which we can measure the environmental heat in a factory. So with this WBT temperature limits, we classify at low risk is 31 degrees centigrade, 31 to 31.9 we classify as moderate risk, and more than 32 degrees centigrade is the high risk. So by this, using this WBT in the factory, we can classify this heat stress risk level of that particular workplace according to low, moderate, or high. So if we go to the control measures, I think Dr. Okopovo will take in details on this aspect. As we know, the engineering method, the elimination of substitution of the heat generating equipment, the administration, these are the measures to eliminate or reduce heat stress in the industry. That is, there is a hierarchy of control. And for moderate risk, after classifying the moderate risk, there are what environmental monitoring, personal work health that we have to take into care, that speed test, medical screening, to maintain a healthy lifestyle, to maintain an ideal body weight, nutrition, and adequate salt intake from diets. And this counsel workers about abuse alcohol and other intoxicants, and they monitor the workers about their taking medications that may compromise normal cardiovascular blood pressure. So it is the personal health records should be carefully monitored in the factory. The work practices, that is, there should be verbal and written instructions, what to be done in those particular work situations, and activization, as already mentioned, and encourage the workers to drink, that is, 1 glass of cool water every 20 to 30 minutes, and allow self-limitation of heat exposure. In the high risk workplace, we focus more on engineering control, admin control, and the effective use of personal protective equipment. And there are heat state management programs in place which we can use in the particular industry. So, heat state management is a policy management commitment on the part of the industry with where the duties and responsibilities are fixed. That is, there should be acclimatization program, there should be hydration program, there should be training and education of the staff, hygiene and medical surveillance, first aid and emergency. So these are the components of each state management program which should be in place in an industry. So acclimatization is getting used to hot weather. This is the process of physiological adaptation that occurs, and it takes about 2 weeks to become fully acclimatized, and it noticeable loss after 4 days and completely lost in 3 days. Then reacclimatization, that is after vacations when a person is acclimatized, but he have taken a break. In when he enters the job, so he has to reacclimatize himself, or he may have suffered from any disease from which he could not have come to the work. So there should be reacclimatization of the worker. And there are some examples of how this acclimatization cycle is done. So if you see, that is the day 1, 2, 3, day up to day 10. See, blue is the admin or light duties, and this red color is the hot environment. So how many days in which step-wise they should be increased in the his work temperature exposure to the person who is working environment. We acclimatize the person from a milder desk job or light duties to the actual working in the hot environment. And this period of the day, when the environment is typically hot, is 11 to 3 p.m. Accordingly, the work shift management should also be done. And hydration program, that's next point is hydration program. The workers should be encouraged and ensured that to carry a filled water bottle in the start of the shift and refill it as often as necessary. There should be ready access to drinking facilities and toilets, and there should be sufficient break time for drinking and toilets and large work sites. And they should be reminded, there should be reminders. The supervisors, they should have a monitoring effect on the worker that whether they are drinking frequent water or not. So, see, accordingly, it's a work rate, moderate, heavy, and heavy work. So, they should be taken care of so that they can have adequate breaks and motivated to take water. Next, the training and education. So, the worker should be educated on the following: that is the hazards of working in hot environment, risk factors that can increase the risk of heat injury, symptoms of heat stress, the possible consequences of the heat injuries, how to prevent themselves, and reporting of illness, identifying the signs of heat injury and emergency response procedures. If a certain person has got ill and heat stroke or any such symptoms occur, what emergency response his fellow workers may take at that point of time. So there should be training and education of the workers on these aspects. And there is measured WBGT at the work area. It should be a routine practice. It should be measured close to the worker where he is working. And fitness to work, that is already discussed, that is replacement examination, medical examination, and supervisor should carry out daily checks for workers at the start and middle of each workday to ensure that they are not being exposed or they are not having any symptoms into exposure to heat. First aid emergency, there should be, they have to train and mock drill should be conducted for emergency response, for early recognition of heat illness and the first aid treatment. And there are two things in emergency management, that is the adopt the AVPU scale and 7R approach to first aid treatment for heat cell. So this should be training and drills on this AVPU scale and 7R approach. What is the AVPU scale? This is alert, verbal, pain, and unknown. So when a person falls sick, we have to see the worker is fully awake, with spontaneous eye opening, or eyes do not open spontaneously, but the worker responds appropriately, that is V. So we have to demarcate this condition as V or A or P. The worker does not respond to verbal stimuli but moves or groans in response to painful stimuli, that is pinching on the nail bed or in the cancers of the eye, and is unresponsive, that the worker does not respond to stimuli. So AVPU scale, they should be marked as A, B, P or U as per the condition of the worker. After you categorize, then you take appropriate measures, and then we have to assess. After the ABPU assessment, you have to worker that we see that the worker is in distress, is in distress. So you check the mental state. Do you know your name? Do you know where you are? You ask questions to the person. Do you know if it is morning, afternoon, or night? To see that with the person is having orientation to the time, place, and person. And if he is able to answer all these three questions, then he is alert. So first either to assess and treat accordingly. If he is not able to answer all these questions, then it's not alert, then you will be in the V, P or U category. Then proceed with immediate evacuation from the workplace, and you can admit if there is nearest health facility, or at that place you can, if first aid at the application of ice packs, CPR or whatever, there is doctor in the factory, you will attend immediately and take the necessary actions to alleviate the symptoms. Then after this evaluation, we have the 7R approach. That is recognize symptoms, rest, remove the clothing, reduce the temperature, rehydrate the person, resuscitate, and rush to hospital. So these are the 7R approach which we should take after the assessing of the ABPU assessment and the next assessment. Then, as per the condition of the worker, this 7R approach should be taken as per the condition of the worker. And this there should be training. I repeat, there should be training, mock drills on this aspect in industries, where by which only we can save some lives in case of the extreme heat injury. So some key elements of heat stress management programs, that is fitness to work, there is medical examinations, heat activation program, hygiene surveillance, then work scheduling, shaded rest area, adequate water intake, worker awareness, and the first aid. So these are the key elements of the heat stress management program. So to summarize, with global warming, environment is getting hotter and workers doing outdoor manual work are at greater risk. So this heat stress can lead to the heat stroke and fatalities. So it's very important that we recognize this heat illness early, so that the worker can be treated in a very early stage. We measure the WP temperature at the workplace to assess the heat stress level, implement the risk control and preventive measures to limit the exposure, and establish and implement an effective heat stress management program in the industries to prevent heat injuries at the workplace. These are the references. Thank you so much.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, you can send the PPT files, mails.
Okay, contact with the organizers who are conducting regarding this. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
So thank you, sir. So if any delegates do have any queries, you can interact with sir. So then we can proceed for the next section. So thank you, sir. Thank you for the elaborate description about the risk and assessment for the heat stress. And with that, definitely complement the Mona Lisa Madam's presentation, and that is very much effective. I believe it will be effective for the workers and those who are listening today. They can be confidently, they will be able to initiate and able to continue that heat stress prevention program in their workplace. So thank you, sir. So with your permission, we can proceed for the next session that will be discussed by me. And hopefully we can conclude the session by 12, because yes, this is today is a May Day. May Day is it's not in the meaning of the May Day, that is not emergency. It is in terms it is might be emergency in terms of heat stress, but otherwise in some place it is a holiday, because it is a Labor Day in the 1st May. But on that day we are going to discuss one of the important topic, that is on the prevention and different intervention strategies for heat stress. So now, with permission from the chair, our director in charge sir, and Mona Lisa madam and Kullan sir, I want to share my presentation.
Yeah, welcome Dr. Anprabhu Shao to go with the
Thank you,
presentation.
sir.
Renowned
Thank you,
person.
sir.
Please continue.
Okay. So I just want to share something. This is one such very unique collaborative effort that I initiated the first time, most probably with the beginning of with the joint program by Regional Labour Institute Kolkata, which is a arm of the ministry, a technical arm related to occupational health and safety in the industries, docks and port works. And with that, we have a official MOU with the All India Institute of Hygiene and Public Health. And along with that, as a mandate from our ministry, as a jointly, because ESIC Medical College is also part of our Ministry of Labour and Employment. So that's why this is a joint inter and intra-ministerial collaboration, we can say it, for the a holistic approach for the prevention of heat stress. So here, as per the registration document, whatever I can see, it's not only the industrial personnel, but from the academician, some of the postgraduate trainee, some of the undergraduate trainees, some of the factory medical officer, safety officer, ESH professionals, some of the management level. So all this is a mixing group of type of all the delegates here. So we can we have already discussed that the different climate change, their effect on the heat stress, and along with that we have also discussed the heat different already identification and risk, how to identify, what are the different strategies, different monitoring system. So in the last session, just I want to couple of within 15 to 20 minutes, I want to discuss that preventive strategy and some technological assistance what we may get, because during the discussion one of our Dr. Dinesh, he is already giving a suggestion for that heat mapping, clustering of the heat stress, heat related high risk areas or the industries, and then different monitoring and surveillance system. And as data analytics and computer, it is one of my passion. So I always try to develop some of the low cost solution, how we can how as a being a medical professional, or as a safety professional, how we can develop a very basic level of technological innovation that can help to tackle such situation. So with that, I'm not going into the, so this is just a, I will scroll down that slide so that it can give a brief idea, whatever has already been discussed, or those who are joined a little bit late, they can get an idea that what is definitely the thermoregulation and how our body react to different environmental temperature, and what are the different measurement techniques. So this is a very beautiful slides. You can see that there are multiple type of heat monitoring devices are there. From the conventional mercury manometer, from the non-mercury based manometer, from the electronic manometers, from the strip based thermosensitive material, from the infrared thermal imaging camera to infrared monitoring system, then thermocouple based transducer sensor, then not only the external monitoring, but we have the option for internal monitoring of the body temperature. So these are beautiful. So based on the requirement, we can use different type of thing. Yes, we have during the COVID time that introduction of the infrared thermal imaging camera that has widened our perspective on that. And yes, we have also the sophisticated camera, thermal imaging camera, by which we can monitor the temperature of individual, not only for individual, but a group of workers in the same time. I think some of you have already noticed that type of monitoring devices that has been introduced, already been introduced, not from the COVID, before the COVID also, for a regular surveillance mechanism in different airports. Different airports, to monitor the thermal, whoever is coming from the different outside countries, their body temperature can be monitored in a very within a fraction of second. So now sir has discussed related to heat balance. I'm not going to the details, just for a recap, what might be there, what is the loss, like radiation, conduction, convection, evaporation, perspiration, respiration, the lost to urine and feces. So there are the percentage, usually the maximum number of heat which is lost to our environment from the bodies by the mechanism of radiation. This is the mechanism. So our body, specifically the hypothalamus, always try to balance between the temperature and always try to keep the temperature within our body for which will be the optimal for cell functioning and the enzymatic activity in every individual cell, every individual mitochondria. So based on to maintain that thing, there are macro level mechanism, micro level mechanism, vasodilatation, vasoconstriction. So these are the different mechanisms are there. So yes, hypothalamus is one of the important organ within the brain, which acts as a thermostat within our body. So this is another important slide where we can see what are the different mechanisms by which whenever our body is exposed to heat, what are the voluntary response, what are the parasympathetic and sympathetic response by sweating, by sympathetic response by dilatation, decreased basal metabolic rate, how we try to monitor or how we try to maintain our core body temperature in specifically. So yes, sir has already discussed related to heat stress, heat strain. So what are the different factors? So that from the environmental factors, worker related factors, these factors. So just for recap, what have already been discussed. So these are the factors. If we can identify the factors very well, we will be able to address the heat stress at its root. So these are, I'm not going into the details again. So now directly come to the preventive strategy. Okay. So we can prevent the heat illness or heat related stress at workplace? Yes, we can. It is a programmatic approach. So whenever we try to approach a problem, we have two options always. One is a ad hoc approach, another one is the programmatic approach. Ad hoc approach, whenever there is some incidence of heat stress has been identified, our management or industries, they just tackle the situation in an isolated manner. So ये नहीं होता है. It is not common to our industry. ये just एक आध हो गया है, बाकी future पे नहीं होगा. That the common mistake we usually do. Because A1, 2, 3, we call in the public terminology, it is the clustering of cases. Whenever there is a clustering of cases, we have to go for identification. That is the community diagnosis. So whenever we will go for community, here community is the workplace. Whenever we will put into or dive into the community diagnosis, we will be able to identify different hidden factors that are responsible for the heat stress that might be represented as a one individual case in a like iceberg phenomena, but the hidden portion, those who are waiting to enter into the heat related problem, is the much more than the only one case. So yes, they are different. So I try to describe the preventive strategy in two ways. One way, which is I usually call it as the industrial hygiene approach, and another way, which is the occupational health approach. Both the way is very almost same, just it is a representation or the orientation in the hierarchy. So industrial hygiene approach. So some of you have definitely heard about the terminology which is called the hierarchy of control. So what is hierarchy of control? Because if we can address a situation, address a occupational health problem in a hierarchical manner. So in the hierarchy of control, so there are steps from most effective to least effective. So these are the elimination, substitution, then engineering control, then administrative control, then use of personal protective equipment. So in the elimination, we can do that different type of, we can adopt strategies. So scheduling of work, then substitution, then replacement in the manual outdoor work, automation, machine-based operation, engineering different processes. Then we can go for, based on the situation, just a minute, yes. So based on the engineering control, provide different ventilation systems that is discussing related to ventilation and humidity. So controlling. So there are different sophisticated instruments are already present there, by which we can control the ventilation in a very, very precise range, in any very precise point estimate. So cooling fan, air conditioning system, cooling waste, personal cooling, then mode of intervention, mainly the environmental modification, then go for the administrative control, work rest cycle, mandatory water break. So in one of the last session I was discussing, during that one of the delegates asked me, sir, is there any kind of official guideline for that or any regulatory provision? So in our whatever the government of India issued the guideline for heat stress, even the some of the state government, Directorate of Industrial Health and Chief Inspector of Factories, they have also issued the guideline. They have mentioned related to the introduction of the initiation of the heat, water break in their working cycle. So training in the heat stress, then encourage the worker to get hydrated, policy level control, education, training, then use of PPE. Yes, we have different type of PPE and some of the sophisticated PPEs are also available. So we have to always balance between the cost and the productivity. So that's why based on your availability, based on the budgetary provision, you can adopt different type of personal protective equipments that are suitable to use in the heat stress. And the second approach, I call it, is the public health prevention framework. So where we usually happy to see the situation in a primary, secondary, and tertiary level of prevention approach. So here we can approach for the primordial prevention, like prevent of the emergence of the risk factor, like health related safety regulations. So some of the delegates, the respected delegates, you have described that. चल रहा है, complete हो जाते दीजिए. So some of the delegates, they are you are also advocating for that policy level decisions and regulatory framework. Yes, this is the high time. I want to share one information with you. Just one or few days ago, Maharashtra state government, Maharashtra Directorate of Industrial Health, they have published the OSH, Occupational Health and Safety Working Regulation, based which is the second step in the code in the Maharashtra. It is in the website right now for public opinion. So as a stakeholders from the industry, from the end user, from the managerial level, so we are the people. You can give the opinion to the government that yes, heat stress prevention program should or shall be included into the national level policy, and that may be reflected as a policy level decision in the guideline. So whenever state government asks opinion from the general public for their views on the rules and regulation, we have to be proactive. We have to be always give the opinion to the government to come into to consider that thing by the policy or decision makers. So urban planning system, green buildings, climate responsive architecture. So these are the different primordial prevention approach. Then come to the primary prevention approach, that can be the training programs, then waters, shade, cooling breaks. This has already been discussed in detail also. Then real-time heat monitoring system. I will demonstrate one such system which is developed by us. Then mode of intervention, behavioral change, then environmental health education, training, personal protective equipments. Then we go for the secondary prevention by the surveillance mechanism, early detection of the heat-related stress, health surveillance mechanism, use of different wearable sensors. So we will demonstrate that thing. Then tertiary prevention by reduced compliance, disability from the heat stress, prompt then on-site medical facilities, emergency response, so medical treatment, rehabilitation, returning to work program, then reacclimatization program. Sir has already discussed. I have already shared the official OSHA's and your guideline in the link, which is in your chat box, and also one guideline. So preventive control, being a medical professional, we will not deep into the different engineering control, those who are working in the safety division. So along with discussion or collaboration with the medical doctors, factory medical officer, safety officer, EHS, and your analysis team, if you have a R&D team, it will be very good. And you can also discuss and take the different how a engineering control that may be modified, that may be adopted for a better heat balance at the workplace. So these are the different control measures. So I have just enumerated some of them: general ventilation, air conditioning. Yes, if you go into the Factories Acts and rule, and even in the upcoming rules and regulations, you will find there are in detail. So Madam is already discussing about the WBGT. Yes, it is also in our factories rule. So the WBGT is the WBGT meter, kata and globe thermometer, that must be kept into the workplace environment. This is a statutory requirement at India also. So we have to, and there is an annex. Within the annex in the list, you can find that regular monitoring of the heat at the WBGT index or WBGT meters and what the meters and humidity at the workplace. It is a regular monitoring checklist is also already been incorporated into our regulatory framework in the state rule and also in the model rule. So your duty as an industry, your duty is to have to implement it. You have to check it. It is not a mere filling the checklist. It is actual implementation and actual monitoring of the workplace scenario. Then local air cooling, convection, heat reduction, different other shielding techniques, insulation, modification, whatever possible based on the or balancing between the technological advancement, productivity, and the expenditure. So reflective auxiliary clothing, there are different things, workplace practices, there are different such practices that can reduce that heat stress. And then there is a body system that is very important. So whenever, specifically, whenever you are working in a hot environment and specifically in the confined spaces, it is always to be advisable use the body system so that anyone who is having a initiation of the heat related illness, so he can be easily monitored and detected by the another person who is relatively okay at that time, and he can get or ask for help. So yes, we can for the monitoring system. Apart from that, Sarah has already discussed in details that heat stress different indices, including WBGT index, heat state index, TW. There are different type of index. Apart from that, there are different physiological monitoring system, like in the ACGIH 2013 guideline. So they have mentioned one such simple parameters, that is, if a person is working in a hot environment and if it is sustained heart rate, like 55 minutes period is more than 180 minus age, is one of the earliest indication that person is in heat stress. So they are different. So core body temperature, then the sign and symptom, then the resting heart rate. If it is resting heart rates after 1 minute time, it's a more than 120. It is definitely a high risk for the heat stress or indication for the heat stress. Body weight, decrease in the body weight, then urinary sodium excretion level, if it is less than 50 millimole. Then as per the ISO 9886 standard, there is also the heart rate limit 185 minus 0.6 into a one such regression equation is there. So one such, and ultimately it can become up to 180 minus age. They are related to body loss. We can call it as a well hydrated, minimum hydration, significant dehydration, severe dehydration. We have a very cheap and handy instrument, point of care POC device type, which can be used at any place, anytime. Measurement of the urinary specific gravity by the refractometer. It is a handheld device. Just only you require 1 or 2 drops of urine, and it will give the result within just 30 to not more than 30 seconds. It will be the 15 to 16 seconds. So this type of thing you can adopt. Then even the color chart I have already seen. I will also recommend. So you can install the color chart specifically in the bathrooms, in the above the urinals, so that people can easily identify that if there is any heat stress within their body or not. So based on that, and how much water they has to be replenished for that to rectify that dehydration level. So yes, I'm not going into, yes, another important thing, those who is in the factory setting, we always assume that people will know how to prepare wares. But whatever, as per my experience, whatever the thing I have commonly observed in the industry, that people say that, yes, I know how to prepare wares. But whenever I request them to please demonstrate, I give them a packet. So then without seeing anything, they just took out a cup or a glass and pour the entire solution with that, and that they say this is okay. It's not like that. So there is a very technical thing with that. You have to maintain the osmolality. Otherwise, any hypoosmolar and hyperosmolar solution will not going to affect into the heat stress. In hyperosmolar solution, specifically hyperosmolar, will causing the dehydration more. So that's why. So you have to specifically train the workers. With that respect, I again want to just highlight the most two things whatever I have observed in the industries. One is people not aware about how to use the air plug properly. Another thing is how to prepare the waters properly. So as a factory medical officer, as a safety officer, your duty or your it is a responsibility also you to train and retrain the worker, or those who are not only the worker, anyone, to know how to prepare wares. So for the wares, India, you can find two type of sachets. One is for the 1 liter, another is for the 200 ml. You can't mix or you can cross over that thing. So that's why you have to be very specific, very clear in instruction, and also demonstration of how to prepare wares, how to consume wares, how to drink wares is very, very important and practical, very low cost, very effective training program for the industries. So this is the acclimatization protocol. I have already shared into the group. So Sir has already discussed. I am not going into the details. So body system. So just a couple of minutes, I just want to describe 2 to 3 technological advancement what we can do. First, I want to show you just इस program चलते चलते ही I have just developed one a checklist you can. So as an industry, yeah. So this is just a there is I have another checklist I have already shared into your chat box. This is an exhaustive one. This is by OSHA. I have just come up with a just summary type checklist, heat stress prevention program. It is a web page. So organization, review and reviewer. So administrative control, it has been placed or not, work rest cycle, schedule of strenuous work, then engineering control, hydration and nutrition, training and trainer awareness program, personal protective equipment, medical surveillance. So right now, mobile phone is, if there is, it is not restricted to use the ICT devices. So you can, as a supervisor, you can ask your system division in your industry to develop such a simple program so that you can regularly monitor the checklist or the prevention. I mean, before, whenever you are doing that a pep talk or any toolbox talk, any kind of initiation before the work starts. So you can do that. You can also implement that thing in between. You can also, based on your preference, based on your work and the time. So you can develop a small a checklist so that you can easily implement it. So because whatever, as per my experience, that pen and paper based checklist is whenever it will be a bunch, it is very difficult to analyze. It is not readily we can get a summarized assessment from that checklist. So that's why plain and paper based checklists is okay if you have sufficient time, if you have sufficient courage, and if you have sufficient intention to analyze that thing. Otherwise, the automated ICT based checklists is the best possible solution as per the present perspective. Another important thing I want to show you that this is a one such device I have demonstrated in the hygiene also. So it is one such, it is also in my mobile. So this is a wearable sensor based device. So if the workers is using that thing, so we can monitor not only the workplace but also the working environment. So all the related data will be immediately be coming to the mobile, and the supervisor and the manager who is the access, they can be alerted through warning, through their mobile alert system, and through email and the SMS. Even worker will get that. So this type of system will not cost, will cost not a very high amount, but yes, with that very basic available instruments, these are all my lab setup. We can develop that such thing. It is basically already developed one such, and we can use it. And another thing I want to show, that is just Dr. Dinesh. He is one of my very favorite students. All are my favorite. So he's also been, even after AFI completion of the AFI, he is still now in doing research as per his capacity in the industry. So yes, so this is like I have just written a code for that. It was developed somewhere earlier. So if you have just know the access, and if it is in an Excel sheet, you can easily, we can plot and we can see that there are the high risk, high threat zones are there. Is it is not. We can individually identify the plot for the spot. So we can easily integrate the GIS based analysis for the policymakers. So right now, at different level, different research also, we are integrating GIS as a one of the core component for GIS based analytics and the cluster analysis, GIS based for the heat related and for the other purpose also. Another thing I just want to demonstrate, it's a interesting, those who have interest in the electronics also, and also the IoT device. I think all of you have heard about the terminology IoT. It is the Internet of Things based device. So usually in India we use two type of microcontrollers. One is Arduino, another one is Raspberry Pi. So this is a simulator. So I just in the morning during in the train, I am coming from Kanpur. So I developed that. So here you can see, if I just, so there is a display terminal, there is a device, and that particular device will not cost more than 500 rupees. So we can easily monitor that thing. That is also as a requirement, monitoring of the heat stress index. So if I just, so this is the in Java, written in Java, then I can get that. Yes, so if there is a control program, if the heat stress index is more, it will be alerted as a red. If the heat stress index is less, that will be green. So if I just change the humidity, so how you can see the effect of humidity on the heat stress. If I just change the humidity, it will change from, so heat stress index 32, it's still high. So a little bit of temperature is 26, heat stress, it's 20, let's see. So it's become green. So if I just increase the temperature a little bit, so just it is a simulation. So that's why you can understand that whenever, so you can from the green, red, blue, so that visual warning, visual alarm system, visual display system, that can be easily be. So this program, if you have the hardware, you can, if you want, those who are interested, you can visit the RLI Kanpur. It is a setup is already developed here. So I can demonstrate that thing. So those who are interested in IoT and integrate in that IoT and the artificial intelligence and machine learning into your research. So we are definitely there. So this type of device is not very high cost. We can easily developed in-house as a Make in India project, so that it can be helped. It can help a lot to the worker. So these are the few example, few integration in the research what we can do. So with that, at 12:15, the time is 12:15 right now. So just a couple of minutes. Yes. So these are the, yes, heat stress index. There are red flag system. So with that, I want to conclude the session with just only one message at the end. So summary the prevention campaign, avoid heat injury, every hour, drink water, take rest, and rest under shade. So with that, uh, this is just some case studies. So as we can conclude the session. So I would like to request our DIC sir, just give a minute. So yes, so it is the theme. If it is get hotter, drink some water. With that, I want to conclude my session. And thank you to all of you for patience hearing. And just a minute, I would like to request our DIC sir to conclude the session and to give their concluding remark for all the respected faculty members.
Hello, Karam, Karam. Take that.
Yes, sir. Okay, so Sari is here. So our respected director in charge, sir, Monalisa madam is here. All the Professor Kullan Pal sir is here. So all are my respected teachers, and definitely I learn a lot from them,
Good
and they are
afternoon,
my
good afternoon,
inspiration also.
everybody. I'm really, happy to see this session because one important thing, all faculties have shared their excellent knowledge, but simultaneously, participants also have taken any deep interest in that. That is the success of the program because faculties are expert in their own field, but students are just going on webinar. No, I have seen my data in this section. Also, they are asking some feedback, some PowerPoint sharing, something. So it is. I am so happy that everyone faculty has given an excellent contribution, and all the webinar participants also has got very good interest. And I request Dr. Sausab to take such a activity, and Malalisa madam and Kumar sir to contribute for we can conduct more programs like this. And this is a one heat stress. We can take so many other topics of common interest. So I am telling you this program is real success, and such type of program we can conduct jointly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that your concluding remark. And I would like to request if Mona Lisa madam or sir, if you want to share anything, your views as a faculty, and
Yes.
then we will go for concluding.
Yes, thank you. It was a very well organized and like very detailed presentation. I would request my participants also that if you want that such training should happen more, or you want to collaborate in some way with RLI, with AIHPH, ESI. And the best part is all in the Eastern Zone, we are working very cohesively. So where like someone was suggesting that there should be more training. So even we should take initiative, and uh, we should do whatever we can do at our level to implement those guidelines related to heat stress. So if we start working on it, there will be a day not very far when we will be able to implement all the recommendations. So that was my say
Yes.
on it. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you to all of you, and Thank you for attending all the respected delegates, and I would like to specially thanks to the management. So they have encouraged you, even they have allowed you to attend that program. And definitely, as Madam advised, we will work more closely, more cohesively with each other to make some real change in the workplace. So with that, I want to thank you, and with permission to chair, sir, we can conclude the program. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.